there and welcome to another episode on Startups. I am Tamilore Akinkolye. Counterfeit drugs are a deadly problem globally, especially in developing nations where the supply chain security is limited. And this undermines the progress of every individual and nation in achieving the progress of the UN development goals. To fight the flood of fake pills in Nigeria, Samuel Kwada decides to start up an organization to reduce the rate of counterfeit drugs in the country. Why don't you journey along with me as we get to know more about remedial health?
At Remedial Health, we say we are digitizing the pharmaceutical supply chain in Africa, and we do that in a number of ways. So, for example, we provide software to pharmacies and hospitals for their operations. We help them with their supplies, so they can place orders for items that they need and get it to their stores without lifting a finger. I am Samuel Kwada, CEO, co-founder of Remedial Health.
In Nigeria, many people die as a result of counterfeit drugs. This death situation has taken the lives of more than 500,000 people in the sub-Saharan region every year. According to Nigeria's drug regulatory body NAFDAC, 267,000 of these deaths are linked to anti-malaria medicines, which sadly is one of the most common illnesses in Nigeria. Determined to make a difference, Samuel Okwada developed the Remedial Health application, where pharmacies and hospitals can make direct purchases of drugs from licensed drug manufacturers and suppliers. Deciding to solve the supply problem most pharmacies battled with during the COVID-19 pandemic when restrictions were enforced, Okwada says with the technology Remedial Health provides, supply chain gap in the drug distribution sector has been digitalized.
I would say the light bulb moment for Remedial was during the lockdown, during COVID. There was a catch-22 type situation in Nigeria especially, where the market where we would typically buy medicines wholesale for pharmacies and hospitals were shut down. And it was obvious why they were shut down, because you can't have a market operating during a pandemic. But hospitals and pharmacies were allowed to continue attending to patients and customers. Now, within 2-3 days of the lockdown, pretty much majority of pharmacies had empty shelves. So people were trying to look for stock. They were calling us directly because we were pharmaceutical marketers at the time. They were calling us directly to supply them when typically we would supply through these markets. So when we started doing that delivery directly to the pharmacies, we felt, you know what, this market approach that we have in Nigeria, not just Nigeria alone, it's pretty much across Africa, where you buy medicines from an open air market is not sustainable. There are several challenges with buying medicines from places like that. And so we decided to solve it using technology.
Explaining how the app works, Okwada says Remedial Health app only works with registered pharmaceutical companies and not individuals. While the application only accepts a minimum of 50,000 naira per purchases, the notification is also sent to customer tracking each stage of the process.
There are many problems that we are trying to solve at once, right? For either the pharmacies, the hospitals, and then eventually for the end users, so the patients. But I'll pick one just to elaborate on, which is fighting counterfeit medicines, right? So in Nigeria, the figure for counterfeit medicines sold is 40%. So 40% of medicines you buy are likely counterfeit. So if you go and buy 10 packs of medicines, very likely 4 out of those 10 are counterfeits. And these counterfeits are very good, like they're compared to the genuine product, exactly the same. Until you do a test, do you know that one is probably chalk while the other is the genuine product. And you can imagine how many people are affected every year. It's in the hundreds of thousands in Nigeria only from counterfeit medicines. So it's either I have a headache, I take something which should help me, but ends up giving me a different illness. In some cases, sending people to their graves. And again, that is also in the hundreds of thousands of people dying from counterfeit medicines. Last year, 2022, we sold over 100 million individual packs of medicines around Nigeria. If we are to use that in relation to the percentage of counterfeit medicines in the market, we can sort of estimate that we've replaced somewhere around 40 million possible counterfeit medicines in the market. So if by doing that, we've even saved even one life, I think that is a very huge win for us. And I would dare say we have saved thousands of lives by ensuring that medicines go from manufacturer to pharmacy in a efficient, proper supply chain.
Many startups often struggle to source financial support, but for Remedial Health, funding was surprisingly easy. Okwada says the problem-solving ability of the app made the difference.
Like I mentioned, we had a previous company before Remedial, which was doing importation of medicines into Nigeria and selling to wholesalers. So that was one source of funds. But we also got into Y Combinator early last year. Y Combinator is like this, I would say it's the best startup accelerator in the world for technology businesses based in the US and in Silicon Valley. We got into that early last year, and that really helped to catapult like our growth. We've also raised funding from some prominent investors. So locally, Ventures platform, quite popular. I think they are based out of Abuja. Ingressive Capital. We've also raised from some international investors. For example, Tencent. Tencent is $100 billion conglomerate in China. And I would say we were able to get some funding because we were able to show that there is a problem that needs solving. We were able to also show that we were making some strides in solving that problem.
With a large prospect in the pharmaceutical industry and with a landmark across 25 states in Nigeria, for Remedial Health, logistics is a recurring challenge. Okwada explains that the company's dependence on logistic companies sometimes exposes the businesses to issues such as late delivery of orders.
So we have problems of our own. I don't think you would meet any business in Nigeria that is not facing one. But I would say none are really unique to us. We do have some challenges that I would say as a result of our growth. So like I said, Remedial is 1 year, pretty much 1 year old this month. We've gone from pretty much about 4 people when we were doing the previous business to about 160 people today. We've gone from being Lagos focused only to 25 plus states. So that comes with its own set of challenges, which I would say we're doing quite well with. But then there are the Nigeria challenges. So for example, how do I move a product from here to Kano in an efficient manner? In developed societies, there are already built logistic companies, right, that can do these things for you. In most cases, what you find here is that even when you have logistics companies, they also have their own set of challenges which are not created by them, which they cannot really solve. E.g., the road is bad. There's no fuel. So you can give a logistic company a product which should get to Kano in 2 days. It ends up getting to Kano in 5 days.
Joda Pharmacy, one of the beneficiaries of Remedial Health, takes pride in patronizing them because of the convenience she has gotten ever since she started purchasing her drugs from them.
I got to know about Remedial through Le Remedy Pharmacy. My brother owns there. He told me about Remedia, and ever since I've been partnering with them for like a year, 6 months now, and it has been very, 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 very good because Remedia has made it very easy for me. We go to Lagos market to buy drugs before, but this time around Remedia brings the drugs to you. They deliver to you. You don't have to stress to go to the market, select the drugs. You just go online and make your order. They deliver it. So it has made it easy, and they are reliable. When they say this is the date they are bringing it, they will bring it to you at that same date.
Typically, and I would say that's one of the value propositions to our customers, is that when you buy from Remedial, we are basically giving you a 100% guarantee that this product you've bought is genuine. We will not have a counterfeit in our supply chain. And the reason we're able to do that is because we're not working with any middlemen. We go directly to source. And we're sourcing from reputable companies, registered, regulated by the relevant agencies. So we can ensure in that way that whatever it is 100% perfect. Now, we hold that inventory in our warehouse. Again, one of the problems we're trying to solve is if you go into these markets to buy medicines, these medicines are kept in small stores that have no ventilation, no cooling, nothing, right? And medicines are not paper or wood. If you store medicine in a place that is very humid or very hot, it loses efficacy. So what you find is when these medicines pass through the supply chain we have at the moment, which is the market, you find these medicines losing 5 to 20% of their efficacy just in those markets alone, right? So we hold that inventory in a properly regulated and controlled warehouse, temperature, humidity, right? And then when our customers purchase, we pick and pack. Either we use our own logistics or we use third parties to move those items to the customer's doorstep.
In its first year, Remedia Health has been able to supply more than hundreds of thousands of drugs to various states across the country. It says with more investors, the company can reach every part of Africa and help improve the quality of lives of millions of Africans. With Africa having one of the largest growing population in the world, an emerging rapidly growing middle class, and expansion of new economies, insurance plays a major role in the financial stability of every African. While Remedia Health is here to help us fight the use of fake drugs in the country, there's another organization that is here to help us ensure our health and every important aspect of our lives. Now let's get to know more about this organization that decides to add insurance to one of the daily lives of Africans.
At Curacao, for us, we like to think about the long-term, vision for what we're doing is to help drive prosperity and, really help drive prosperity for Africans and people in the emerging markets. So that's really what we're doing. In terms of what the actual how is for us is, how can we use technology to drive insurance penetration? How can we use technology to make insurance work? Henry Mascot, I'm a co-founder and CEO of Curacao.
Insurance penetration remains very low across Africa. leaving 90% of Africans to little access to the awareness of insurance, with the main goal of helping Africans drive prosperity by using tech to make insurance work. Henry Mascot founded Curacao in 2019 to ensure people don't spend their money over and over again.
For us, we tried a few things. We worked around a few industries, my co-founder and I, in the beginning. But we saw insurance as one of those industries where there's a lot of opportunity for leveraging on technology to drive growth. Insurance is also a very key part of the economic stack or the financial stack. The same way you need banking, you need credit, you also need to make sure insurance works, especially for people in Africa, right? People in poor countries. You need to make sure that the money you make, that you're not spending the same money over and over again going to a hospital, you're not spending the same money repairing car or like paying for property that could have been protected if anything happens. So we think for our growing economy, a growing country, it's very important that you have a way for people to protect their risks. So whether that's their health, whether that's their life, whether that's their property.
Having branches across 7 countries in Africa, the invention of Curacao was realized from working in the healthcare sector, where the lack of finance in the sector was realized, which brought the birth of Curacao.
I think that was a light bulb moment, really. Our process was very iterative. So I've been working on this for a very long time. I've been working on. So for us, we actually started doing a few things in healthcare, really, and we realized that the most sustainable way to create value or to finance healthcare. So right now, when you're sick, you go to a hospital, and then the hospital treats you. But really, the only way. But it's challenging for, again, we're a very poor country. Right now, Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world, right? So it's very challenging when people have to. So for healthcare to work, there has to be healthcare financing, right? So for us, we were playing around in a few industries, just building technology to power those industries. And then we realized even for healthcare to work in a sustainable way, there needs to be some financing. Somebody needs to finance that care that poor people don't have. And then we learned about insurance. So, we didn't know about insurance. So growing up, I didn't know anything about insurance. Maybe I knew third-party insurance because then, I have a car, but I didn't really understand it, right? So until I started getting into the industry 3-4 years ago, I didn't really fully understand it. But for us, there wasn't a light bulb moment, right? It was iterative. So we were working on something in healthcare. Then we realized that to be able to solve that, you need to have healthcare financing, which is insurance. And then the more we spend time working on problems within the health insurance space, the more we saw the opportunity and the problems across the whole insurance ecosystem.
Incorporating various products for different processes in the software, Henry explains one of the products designed for every business owner in the country.
Cool. So Curacao Go is essentially an embedded insurance platform, right? So there are 2 parts in play really with the Curacao Grow product. It's technology, which is a end-to-end technology from APIs to SDKs to web interfaces and mobile interfaces that allow both the insurance company to issue products, process claims, process payments on one side. And then on the other side, allows any business to add insurance to their product, no matter what type of business you are, whether you're a digital business, an offline business, we're mostly focused on digital businesses. And then digital business fintechs, banks, logistics companies, e-commerce companies, just any business that has a use case for insurance, whether they're trying to protect their customers or give their customers more sort of a variety of products that include insurance products, or even just protecting their own business, right? So that's the technology part, and then on the other side is the insurance brokerage, right? So because you operate as a broker, right, essentially, and so really those are the components. And in terms of the value that we're creating for some of the businesses we're working with 100 plus businesses at the moment across maybe for this particular product, maybe 4 or 5 countries. And so the biggest value really for some of these businesses, there are 2 key things that make people try to embed insurance within their ecosystem, right? So number one is to increase the value Well, let's say three ways, right? So number one is to protect their own business, to protect their own operation. So you can have credit companies that are embedding like credit life insurance to like their loans, to make sure that like if there's a default as a result of like critical illness or death, that insurance covers that. So there are use cases like that, and like logistics companies that are every goods moving within their platform that they're embedding it, just so that they make sure that they protect themselves. So there are use cases of that where people are like, this is a core component of what we need to do to make sure our business is viable, is sustainable, keeps growing without any risks, right? And then you have the other two segments. Another segment is people who want to generate more revenue. They have a lot of users. So this could be like the banks, the neobanks, like people who have like millions of users, hundreds of thousands of users. They're already offering a core service to those users, but they want to be able to make more money. They know that they can create more value and then they can make more money, right? So that's and then there's a third segment, which is people who, they're not necessarily motivated by money, but they want to offer their customers like more service, more value-added services, more things that can help them have better lives, and so on and so forth.
Working as a back-end organization and getting paid by use of your software, users can only have access to any of your services by going to any organization leveraging on their product.
You know, right? So again, maybe one thing to also mention, so we're purely infrastructure, we're a B2B company, right? So we're not selling directly to consumers. So if you're an individual, you're not buying from us, right? So you're going to encounter Curacell as part of an ecosystem of somebody else. So let's say, you're using, like, let's say Wema Bank, or you're using Pocket, for instance, on Pocket. Let's use Pocket. So let's say you're using Pocket to do your thing, send people money, buy your airtime, and so on and so forth. And you were thinking of, okay, cool, I need to buy, insurance for my phone, my Android phone. I want to make sure that if anything happens to it, my screen damages, it gets stolen, right? So you just go to Pocket. You go to any of our partners that is already leveraging on our infrastructure, right? So you go to Pocket, you can go to a bank that's using us, you can go to anybody, and then you buy that policy that you want, or products that you put in. And then, but it's just that we are at the back end powering all those things.
Apart from the declining rate of the Nigerian economy that affects a percent of Curacell, one of the major challenges the organization seems to face is the establishment in a new market.
They're really hard. So they're like, a plethora of challenges, right? We wake up every day to them, and we go to bed. We try to solve as much as we can. But the challenge is that, the ballpark, if it's right now for us where we're going into newer markets, I would say, off the top of my head right now, one of the key challenges as you're going into a new market, there are licenses you need to get or partner, and then also, certain markets have like their own like nuances. Like some people like foreigners, some people don't. Some people like Nigerians, some people don't, right? So, I would say like obviously going into new markets, navigating all that, like, figuring out, okay, who's the right person to partner with, getting them to trust you. We don't have the best rep as Nigerians as well, right? Like within the continent. So we need to, make sure that these people trust us, and then they believe we are creating the right value for themselves and ourselves as well. So I would say that scaling into new markets is definitely one of the key things that we're solving for. The trust factor, the right partnerships, the right licenses. For every single business, every single startup, obviously talent is still one of it. So we're still solving for making sure that we can find the right talent that has the right values as we do, because we have a very unique set of values, right? We're not we like to think that our values are really unique, right? So there are people who can work with us and there are people who can't, right? People who fit into our culture. So being able to find that, at the right budget, so that's definitely, there are roles we've been trying to fill for a year or two now, right? We've gone through hundreds of people, and we're still, so talent is definitely one of them as well. Let's see, again, obviously with every business like ours, funding is always there. Obviously we did a seed round recently, but again, we need to raise another one in the next couple of months as well to make sure the business keeps going. And then there's the industry challenges as well, right? So we're working in an industry that, again, is based off the fact that they are protecting risk. So when you're protecting risk, it also means you don't adopt innovation as an early adopter. You need to make sure it's safe, you need to make sure it's compliant, and so on and so forth. So, but yeah, those would be the key things that come to mind.
Working with new partners in a new market has always been a great achievement for Curacao, but it validates their effort in making an impact.
I don't know that there is one greatest achievement, really. Again, people would pretty much call the funding because I can see, but for us, I also may see when we sign some really big clients, again, people, we're really excited. Last year when we signed one of the biggest health insurance companies in East Africa, right? It's Jubilee, because again, it was validating to see a big, again, we have some big partners as well. We have AXA, we have THT, but for us, it was very exciting to go to a new market, and then have a partner there, trust us, and then also validate what we're doing. So for us, yeah, so it would be signing new partners in new markets. Again, off the top of my head, recent is maybe the new partners you sign in maybe Senegal or Egypt. That's really exciting for us, right? Obviously, there are a few key moments within the company, especially maybe when you see people who join the company didn't have a certain skill and they grow, and then they're able to do certain things. But it wouldn't be a spotlight presence, but it's spotlight event or moment, but it's gradual, bit-size celebrations within the company.
With the long-term goal of expanding to other parts of the world, Curacao looks forward to becoming the market leader that provides insurance infrastructures.
Well, you will not only agree with me that health is wealth and one of the most important aspects of our lives. While Samuel and Eric tries to make the world a better place, they not only stand as a blessing to the nation, but to the world at large. That is all we have for you on this episode of Startups. Till we meet again, I am Tamilore Akinkolie.